So welcome everyone to this last event of the JoinHealth Autumn Series. This is a special event because instead of having Patricia with us here in the Zoom link, she's live from Medica conference. So we are doing this live from Medica, an event that aims to discuss and showcase how Portugal is doing and performing in the healthcare space, and why to choose Portugal to innovate in healthcare. So today, let me just briefly present you the agenda of the day. We'll start with a live session from Medica. So so here the agenda. So we'll have Patricia from Health Cluster Portugal directly from the Health Portugal stands, meeting some of the Portuguese companies that are exhibiting on the events and showcasing some of the projects that are a highlight from what Portugal is doing in this digital health and medtech space. Then we'll come back to, let's call the studio, and have a roundtable with some entities in Portugal, moderated by me, where we'll be discussing why Portugal can be seen as a living lab for medtech. And with this, we'll run until the end of the session. So any questions you have, feel free to post it. And now I'll move directly to Medica, to Patricia. So.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I was just saying that today we're live from Medica at Düsseldorf, Germany. And this year, the Health Cluster Portugal has prepared a joint participation of 17 Portuguese institutions. So these include not only R&D institutions, but also companies. And this all happens under the brand Health Portugal. And this will be able to foster the visibility and international projection of the Portuguese brand. So if you're watching us from Medica, I invite you to come and visit these entities at Hall 15 K27 to meet these organizations. Also, we have this year the biggest representation of Portugal in this trade fair. We have more than 50 organizations spread all over this mess or this trade fair. So this week, we are also officially launching the online catalog of Portuguese products and services. You can find more at solutions.healthportugal.com. To let you know more about these Portuguese organizations, we have invited some of these organizations to be here and to answer some of the questions and to give their impressions about their participation here at the fair. And during this live streaming, we will also have the demonstration of the chronic disease management platform. I believe you have already seen a short video presentation of this solution that is being developed by the Smart Health Network group of companies. So to start with the interviews, I invite Afonso Alves, board member at Promptly Health, to join me here. And Promptly is a software solutions company focused on the measurement of health outcomes. So hi, Afonso, how are you doing?
Hi, Patricia, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How about you?
Fine, thank you.
So to start, I would like to thank you for accepting this invitation from the cluster. And could you describe a little bit better the company's main activities and products?
Okay. First of all, thank you for having us. It's always a great pleasure being able to present Promptly. Promptly is a digital health data company that has as a purpose to make health outcomes available. And how we do that? By providing an SAS cross-disease platform that serves to collect, monitor, and analyze outcomes. And it comprises a few components: a patient companion app, a remote patient monitoring platform, as well as a portal for data analytics. If at the end of the day, it's all about making health outcomes available, it actually means different things for different clients. For hospitals or healthcare providers, it means helping them delivering better health outcomes. For instance, if you are in a hospital and you see your patient leaving your walls, typically you lose sight of the patient. You cannot anticipate or you cannot detect events that will mean a clinical episode with complications, unless you do have a monitoring capacity of that patient, or otherwise you would have to expect for the next regular visit. If you do have that monitoring capacity of the patient, you can call in and intervene. You can prevent an emergency room visit, you can prevent a readmission, you can prevent a resurgery, and with all the costs that are also associated with that. Also, hospitals or healthcare providers that do analytics on their outcomes, there are obviously entities that are prone to deliver better outcomes. So if we've got hospitals that on one side monitor patients, on the other side that are really worried with their outcomes, we are obviously facing entities that are a step away from going into performance contracting, going into value-based healthcare contracting. On the other side of the value-based healthcare contracting, we've got payers, naturally. And for payers, our solution allows them to also understand what's happening with the outcomes of the patients, of the network, of the providers networks that they do have contracted with, and also doing a shift away from fee-for-service contracting to performance contracting. So we are talking about situations that are already taking place that do mean a significant move in the direction of value-based healthcare. For payers also, our solutions allow them to do population health management, disease management, case management. At the end of the day, payers with our solution will be able to pay for better care delivered to their own customers or their own insured population. There is this third vertical that we also address, and that is MedTech and Pharma. And for MedTech and Pharma, our solution allows them to enhance their own value proposition, the value proposition that they deliver to their own customers. And their customers are typically healthcare providers. They typically put on top of their drug or their device our own remote monitoring, the patient monitoring solution. But for Pharma and MedTech, I would say that the most important part for them is being able to collect data on the performance of their devices and their drugs, and being able to show and evidence that data, and to be able to sustain the claims on that data. So it's a shift from real world data to real world evidence that allows Pharma and MedTech to support their own claims on their own performance. But at the end of the day, all these only matters because there is one entity called patient. And for the patient himself, with all we do is basically we allow the patient to have access to better healthcare.
Okay, thank you very much. And commenting on that, the Promptly Health as a nice project, a collaborative project with the Health Cluster Portugal and a number of Portuguese hospitals, both private and public. So do you want to comment on this value-based healthcare project?
Of course. I would say that it's definitely a project that we should all be proud of. It's a project that many of you won't know, but it was recognized by the World Economic Forum as one of the 4 innovation hubs in value-based healthcare all around the world. So Portugal is one of the 4 hubs all around the world. So I would say that it's a matter of great pride for all of us. And it's definitely a showcase of what value-based healthcare means and what actually an observatory, in this case on cat rat, might have as an impact to deliver better outcomes and to shift the way clinical practice is done.
Thank you. So it's actually a very nice project, and we should be proud of it, as you're saying. So what were the main motivations to be exhibiting here at Medica this year?
I would say first and foremost, it's business. I think we all agree on that. It goes without saying that Medica is the reference trade fair in terms of healthcare. This is the first Medica edition that takes place post-pandemic, or let us say more accurately, after the beginning of the pandemic, because unfortunately the pandemic has not ended yet. And the pandemic has set the backdrop, I would say, ideal to remote healthcare. It has normalized and has put remote healthcare into something that is mainstream. So for us, it's a very good context to be present here today. And besides the business logic of our presence, there is also an educational logic. We shall not forget that we are within this trade fair able to see what the cutting edge of what is done, able to understand what will be happening next, anticipate what will be happening next. So it's a business logic and also an educational logic.
Thank you. So, and what do you expect to be the impact of this participation?
Again, business and educational, both domains. But on a business, typically, as in all the cases of these trade fairs, we are working on leads that we will then explore once we are back to the office.
Okay, thank you very much. So from what you've been able to see so far, what would you say are the main ingredients for this Portuguese presence here at Medica, namely under this Health Portugal brand?
To be totally honest with you, I have not had yet a chance of seeing everything that we have brought here. But there is for me a certainty that we have brought capacity, R&D, innovation, and we are actually, with all these three components underpinning a growing healthcare export sector out of Portugal.
So thank you so much. This has been a very interesting interview, and we will now move to Luís Mendes. He is an investigator from Ivy League. Ivy League is a research technology organization dedicated to the development and clinical research of new products for medical therapy and diagnostic imaging. So welcome, Luís. To start, I would like you to tell us a little bit more about Ivy League's activity.
Okay. As you already mentioned, I believe it's a research-oriented institution that have about 60 persons full-time and is focusing in ophthalmology. One of the goals of Ivy League is the conversion of clinical knowledge into software applications to improve the quality of the patients, live patients. Ivy League is composed by several units. It have a clinical center trial. It have a data center specialized in clinical data. They also have a coordinated center for clinical research, center for healthy technology assessments in drug research, and a center for development of innovations for image systems. Quality matters to Ivy League. We have, our institution have several quality certificates, such as the 9001 certificate.
Okay, thank you very much. So you were one of the companies who was exhibiting here in this joint stand of the Health Cluster Portugal under this Health Portugal brand. So what opportunities are you looking for here at Medica?
So we have several objectives. One of the objectives is to present our institution to a broader public. The other is to present our activities, mainly in the artificial intelligence, in the screening and in the progression of age-related disease, AMD and diabetic retinopathy. One of the main challenges that limits the adoption of these technologies, deep learning models, in clinical practice is the black nature, box nature of these technologies. That means that it's difficult to predict how these models work with new image. So one of the work lines that we have in the Ivy League is to develop methods for independent validation of AI models and to do the clinical interpretation of the results.
Okay, so I believe this is the first time Ivy League is exhibiting at Medica?
Yes, it's first time. I expect also in the end, when I return to Portugal, to have 2 or 3 ideas, innovative ideas to develop new projects with the institution that I will find here, because this is a very good place to meet other institutions to strengthen the collaborations.
Thank you. So, and how is your experience being so far? How would you describe this this experience of being exhibiting here at Medica?
So the COVID situation is different. It's the first time that I'm being in this kind of medical. Usually I go to scientific congress, but the experience has been great. The environment is very good. The city is very good. HPC have done a great job in organizing this mission, and everything is working very good until now.
Thank you very much, Luis. It's been a very interesting testimonial. So we will now go to our last interviewer. So we have Gonzalo Mergulhão. Gonzalo is the International Sales Director at BIQ Health Solutions. So to start this interview, I would like to ask you to describe a little bit about the company's main activities and business for those who are watching us and may not know who BIQ's activities.
Sure. Well, first of all, let me thank you for the initiative on organizing this thing, because I think it's the first time we're participating with you, and it's been quite interesting. As for what we do, so we develop mobile solutions for healthcare, so it's software based, and we aim to work on the bedside of the patient, trying to ensure patient safety on everything that's being administered to the patient, whether it's medication, blood transfusions, any other elements that you might need to administer and to have a positive match and achieve a closed loop. This is what we're doing.
So I know that this is not the first time that you're exhibiting here. Actually, you've been at Medica for several times. So why is it strategic for you to be exhibiting at this fair?
I would say for us, the international markets are strategic from very long time. We have defined that we need to expand beyond our borders, beyond Portugal, and to have a scalable product that we can actually present to different markets, that we can actually take further away than our borders. Obviously, Medica is the largest healthcare fair in the world, so it's in Europe where our own market is. So we need to be here. We have been doing this for the past 10 years with good results. This year, we decided to join Healthcare Portugal. Circumstances also pushed us this way, but so far it's doing very well.
So yeah, so do you think this about this joint participation, do you think this participation under the umbrella of Health Portugal will foster the recognition of the Portuguese ecosystem?
I hope so, and I think so. So it's so far you're seeing a lot of Portuguese companies under this brand, let's call it this way. And funny enough, you're seeing a trend that these companies have a very much a high technology based, rather than the traditional sectors that we would be part of, which is following a trend. And it's quite enthusiastic that we're seeing this type of new companies with bringing innovation to the market in areas that were not so explored before.
So as a regular and experienced exhibitor here at Medica, what would be your recommendations for other companies who are planning on visit but haven't had the courage to come?
Okay, I would say don't just come, have a plan. Okay, you need to know what you're selling, to who you're selling, and you need to come with a plan for it, because this is way too big for you just to wait on anything that comes by chance. Because if you're just waiting on chance, you may or may not have luck. So I would say prepare in advance, have a good plan coming forward, meetings prepared, and partners that you want to speak with, and the results will show up.
Thank you for your wise words, Gonzalo, and for your participation.
Sure.
So we will now move to the second part of this live streaming session. For those of you who joined in the meantime, we are live from Medica Trade Fair in Düsseldorf, Germany. This is the Health Cluster Portugal's group stand. We have this year more than 15 organizations here at this stand under the umbrella of the Health Portugal. And if you'd like to ask some questions, you may use the Zoom or the LinkedIn, depending on where you're watching us from. And as promised in the beginning of this session, we will now have a demonstration of the chronic disease management platform. I think you had the opportunity to see a short video of this platform before. And just to let you know that this is a digital integrated solution to remotely monitor patients for continuous disease management. This has been developed by a group of 15 organizations which have been working together since 2019. I'm talking about the Smart Health Network. This is an informal subcluster of the Health Cluster Portugal, and they have been working in a complementary and collaborative manner, with each organization bringing specific know-how, technological input, but also a network of partners. Also, the trust and cooperative environment that has been built among these organizations has permitted this network to rapidly respond to challenges and advance novel, modular, and adaptable solutions. So, and this has been happening namely in the digital and medtech segment. So we have here with us now Ricardo Correia from Healthy Systems, one of the companies that is involved in the development of this technology, and also Joana Feijó, the Business Development Director of the Health Cluster Portugal, who has been also very into this development. So this solution was projected to promote improved care to patients, alerts to healthcare professionals and caretakers, with little effort and lower cost than currently available solutions. And it includes three major parts. So the sensors or wearables to remotely monitor patients, the data integration and interoperability part, but also tools and interfaces for data-driven support of clinical decision. So my first question for you two this afternoon is, which sensors will we be able to see and to demonstrate here at this live stream session?
Hi, Patricia. Good afternoon. So in this session, we'll have different sensors, mainly a glucometer, blood pressure measurement, a respiratory rate, a hand grip for strength, and a temperature one. These sensors are all integrated on the hub integration platform, and will be shown on the screen that we have here. Besides these ones, we have other sensors, one for fall risk assessment also, and different ones from different companies. What is interesting here, and that Ricardo can explain better, is that we can integrate any sensor from any provider, since they use international standards. So this is most likely a plug and play platform. And we can demonstrate this because this morning we integrate one sensor in 10 minutes. And this is very interesting when we are addressing new markets. We can go to the market, have the platform, and the suppliers from that country can integrate the sensors or different specific digital devices that they have. Maybe Ricardo wants to explain how can we do this in a technology way.
Yeah, regarding this this modular solution, so what are the prerequisites for some company that wants to integrate and add value to this solution?
Okay. Actually, some of the companies have already done their work regarding creating APIs or other ways of sending information, but we are helping those companies to increase their maturity level regarding interoperability so that they can use international standards like FHIR, HL7, and others. And so some of the work that we've been doing here is provide that type of service to these Portuguese companies that need this, so that then afterwards they can easily plug and play in this ecosystem or any other ecosystem elsewhere abroad. Regarding what these systems need to have, it's very little. They just need to be able to communicate with the exterior world, and then we'll help them transform those types of messages into international standards. Then the rest of what you see here is actually a set of systems that can monitor what is happening. So even if you have, for instance, a glucometer or something like that, sending information, you'll be able to monitor all the messaging that's going around, which is it's a part of the hard work that you need to do when you do interoperable systems. And so this is something that the platform also provides, is a way to easily integrate and to follow what's happening inside the health institutions. And then afterwards, everything comes together in the patient's record, as you can see there, for the health professional to see. But also it can be shown on systems for the patient himself to look at the data of himself, which is another part that's also very interesting, is that we provide a way where these devices are connected between each other and with the hospital systems or primary care system, but in the end come back to systems that actually that the patient can use and also have an idea of the values of the data that exists to him.
So are we able to test in real time some of these sensors? Yeah, and I believe that we can see them behind us in that screen.
So we can start seeing my glucose level, and also And also,
The oxygen.
yeah,
The oxygen saturation for that first one.
and also my temperature. It's not measuring. Let's see yours. Okay. And as you can see, the parameters are being sent directly to the screen. Also, we can start and see my strain on my grip. And in this way, we are monitoring a patient at home and giving all the information directly to the physician on the primary care setting or on the hospital. And also, as Ricardo says, in my app as a patient, I can see what is going on with my health.
If I just can add something. What's happening here, although it seems like a very short data coming from here to there, actually is going from here to servers and to servers to another servers and going there. But the idea is that this might be very complex, but in the end, as the user interface, it's easy, like Joanna showed. And so the idea is that all the work that is needed regarding integration is already done, and so it makes it easier for others to use.
So when good solutions work well, it's supposed that people don't realize how much work is behind what is being developed. So I think this is a nice example, because I believe that most of these companies weren't working before they integrated this network. They weren't even working with international standards. And how do you feel that this group has promoted that these companies go abroad and sell their products to other countries, for instance? Why is this kind of initiatives important for these companies? Joanna, maybe you want to answer this question.
Yeah, so most of the companies that we have here are small companies or even startups, and the major problem is the capacity to go international and to go to new markets. And one of the things most important is to have standards that are recognized worldwide. So you have your product on Italy or in German, but you need to be certified and to interoperate with other systems. Another thing is that these small companies have low capacity to go outside. Because they have only one product or only one services. And if we integrate all these products and services in one solution that addresses the market need, like we did here, we create some critical mass that allows these companies to go together and to show the market they had something that is really needed. So instead of have a startup with a unique sensor for blood pressure, we have 5 or 6 companies with more than 12 sensors, an interoperability hub, and the electronic medical record that completely answers the needs of an hospital for remote monitoring. This is completely different when we are addressing a market for being only with one product and services. So we at JCP, we consider that is a successful initiative. After 1 year of hard working, we are here with more than 80 companies, all addressing the same market with a modular solution that can respond to Germany market needs.
Thank you both for being here with us and showing us this demonstration. I think this is an interesting example and also an invitation for other companies who want to join this solution and this smart health network. We have these and many other projects going on. So before we end this live streaming from Medica Fair, I would like to thank all our guests this afternoon. So the 3 companies that were willing to respond to this interview. It's been a pleasure to host you here at Medica. And before we go back online to Miguel, I think we will be able to see again the short video presentation of the Health Portugal brand. So see you soon and hope to see you next year here at Medica 2022. Bye.
Thank you, Patricia. So let's the video to this Health Portugal brand also on the sides of EIT Health. So on this regard, it comes on the second part, this roundtable focused on how Portugal can be attractive as a living lab for innovation. So I'll ask our panelists to join while we have this video being put forward.
Health is about us. It's about having a better life, and it goes beyond treatment. It's about a comprehensive industry that makes new technologies and devices available, develops new methods, provides data the size of the world, overcomes challenges, brings new medicines and treatments quickly within reach of people. It's about science, research, healthcare, engineering. It's about innovation. Made by people to people. This is Health Portugal, from Portugal to the world. With a renowned academic track record, a versatile and dynamic industry, an innovative mindset of talented people, and a balanced healthcare system open to evolution, we offer the perfect setting for testing global ideas. The call for better health and life is resonant in Portugal. It pushes education. It empowers people to create sustainable businesses grounded in qualified human resources, scientific quality, and technological recognition. Made by people to people. This is Health Portugal, from Portugal to the world.
So thank you all. Let's bring our panelists on. We are all here only waiting for one more speaker, that Filipa Fisch, that is directly from Medica. So as you know, this kind of logistical issues, she'll join in a short, but just quickly to introduce who we have with us. So we have António Cunha from Instituto Pedro Nunes, one of the main incubators and research organizations in Portugal. We also have João Pedro Ribeiro from PicMed. Some call it a startup. I'll prefer to call it a company because in the end is now already a company selling worldwide that's in the medical space. We also have Ricardo Encarnação from Roche Portugal, the Roche Portugal Medical Director. And as I mentioned, we'll also have Filipa Fisch from Glean joining us. So let's move into the panel. As I said, Filipa should join us shortly as soon as she is able to connect from the Medica live stand. But let's start with our panelists. So I have a first question to João. As a startup or a company, let's say, who's selling across the world, how important was launching from Portugal to be able to reach this international scale? Of course, it's not why you choose Portugal, but in the end, what was Portugal helpful to become now a worldwide company, or at least present in several markets?
Thank you, Miguel. First of all, thank you, EIT Health and Health Cluster Portugal, for this invitation. So it's a pleasure to be here and tell you a little bit of our story. So it's a very interesting question, and you can have like a direct and more concrete answer, but there's also a romantic side of it. So I think that in the beginning, so it makes sense that we started from Portugal because we are Portuguese. So it made sense in the beginning to start from here. But I think that I would say across the country, but especially here in the north and mainly here in Braga, where we have our headquarters, we have a very interesting combination between the academic side and the business side. So just as a matter of example, we have the University of Minho with the School of Medicine just a couple meters away from the from the university hospital, and just a couple more meters away from the INL, the Iberian Nano Laboratory or Nanotechnology Laboratory. So there's a lot of entities here in this space, in this geography, to say it better, that also helps companies when they are starting to develop their products or even to go global. So I think that in the end, it's also interesting to see that here in Portugal, and we saw this, or we felt this in the beginning when we started, and I think that is improving and increasing over time. So there's a lot of interest around new technologies, and especially in the medical field. So it's quite common now to see inside of a hospital, either a public one or a private one, to have like an innovation center, where they want to test new things, where they want to validate new things, and they have Chief Innovation Officer who is responsible for managing all of these different products and different technologies inside of that particular hospital. So this creates the perfect setting for a company with a product or a service that is still in the early stages to start testing locally in a way that not only you are able to test the product, the technology, or the service, but you have the people there giving you direct feedback. So you don't need to wait weeks or months to have endless calls with those profiles in order to get immediate feedback. So they are there. So just go there and ask them. So that's why I believe that here in Portugal, and of course, it's always better to speak on your own experience, but here in Braga, we felt this in the early beginning. Matter of fact, we still feel this, where a lot of those entities have opened doors for you to start developing the product, for you to start actually reaching other markets. So I remember when we started to work on all the certifications needed, namely for the CE mark and the ISO approval, we had a local entity here in Braga able to help us with that. So we didn't need to go abroad to find a consultant company to work with us for that. We had one here in Braga, and it was perfect for us to have this kind of almost next door and discuss those topics. So that's why I strongly believe that if you need people for the technology, you have it here. If you need people on the marketing side, you have them here as well. So it's a matter of defining the plan and then go after those profiles or those entities. But certainly and for sure, we have the perfect setting here in Portugal to start and address international markets. That's what I strongly believe.
Oh, thank you, João. So probably moving from Braga to Coimbra, Antonio, IPN has several prizes as one of the best incubators in Europe. But Coimbra and the place where IPN is working is much more than only IPN. It's a full ecosystem that we can even consider as a living lab for MedTech. How in some way you at IPN leverage that ecosystem, and if you can share a little bit some good examples of how innovators from Europe, so not only from Portugal, use this ecosystem in Coimbra that you foster, that you work to develop their innovations.
Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for the invitation. In fact, my opinion is in line with the previous colleague. In fact, I think then is the range of services that the innovators could find at in the same place or nearby. I think is somehow the most important thing, because I think we have the capacity at local level to understand the cycle of or the life of the company, namely the startups that they have some particular difficulties in the beginning. And it's very important to have an aggregation of services that we can in fact support the companies in the different stage of maturity. We can talk about the prototyping or the validation or the regulatory, somehow the secret is the combination of these different things to understand the life and try to understand where the company needs to have somehow the support. And of course, these three things combined with the business, because the previous colleague already talked about it, but the validation is very important, because at least in Europe, the startups are somehow maybe too much tech driven and need to have this step to understand if in fact what they are inventing it's innovation or only an invention, right? Because the startups, at least some of them are somehow are experienced the entrepreneurship for the first time. Then why not to use other partners with more experience to try to help them in somehow to avoid to reinvent the wheel. And but of course it's impossible to do if we don't have a very balanced local ecosystem. We have a local ecosystem. The aging at Coimbra, it's a reference site on active and healthy aging, quite well evaluated from European Commission. And maybe the most important thing is to put the critical people at the same table once a month. We have in the same table, we have the university, we have the hospitals, we have IPN, we have the social caregivers, we have the nursing school, we have and we have the authority, the health authority, and also the regional authority. As you know, we don't have the local government. Then the kind of government is our regional authority, and we have put these people together, and it's very, very important to support the companies but it's not enough, because we don't have all the answers at local or regional level. That's why this connection between this local ecosystem with the other ecosystems somehow is the secret, or is the tricky thing, somehow to assure that we can have a very good connection between, in our case, Coimbra and Europe, and it's essential. And for that we need to have instruments, right? And we have two. We have EITL, of course, has somehow a layer of trust where we have a lot of partners that we know for a long time, and we can activate somehow the help or the support when we want or when we need to support a company, a startup. We work a lot also with active assisted living joint program, but the aim or objective is the same: to connect the local with the different ecosystems in Europe.
No, thank you for and now moving back to Germany. We already have Philippa here with us, and Glint being one of the main IT enablers of our healthcare system in Portugal. My question goes on: how keen is the healthcare system in embracing the technology and testing new solutions, especially when we speak about digital health? And like how can companies all around Europe or the world partner with Portuguese companies to leverage this kind of opportunities to test new technologies, to bring new technologies, or not only to Portugal, but to test them and then take it to other markets? Philippa, you are muted.
Sorry. It's one of the major phrases among Zoom, I guess. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Miguel, for the invitation, and to the panelists. It's very good to be here. I have a background noise. As Miguel told you, I'm in Medica, so you can hear some background noise. But anyway, So responding to your question, Miguel, I think, well, Portugal can be seen as a living lab or a digital health nation, if you can say like this. Since for me, we are passionate about technology. We like to embrace new technologies. We are curious about technology. Citizens, health professionals, professors. So I think this is an advantage. The second point is that we are a country that is not so big, and that is useful for piloting new solutions, and also the financial risk that you can have is small when you compare to other countries if you need to make a pilot. So I think these three reasons can lead us to a living lab in terms of health, and we could be a digital nation in terms of health and have the best solutions to be pilots in Portugal, and then of course move abroad, because then the companies need to have more critical mass and need to have more markets in order to succeed to pilots and then scale up for other countries. So I think these three reasons are important. Also, when you look to, is Portugal ready to adopt these new technologies? Well, there is a report that was launched last week, considering the different dimensions that Portugal has in terms of adopting technologies in terms of public services, and of course, health is included. And we see that we are in a very good position when we compare to the other countries in Europe in terms of public services that already are using e-solutions to make the best for the citizen. And as we've seen before with this pandemic crisis, we have never observed anything similar to this. So every attention was put onto the citizen. So we need public services, e-services, e-medical services, so that the health professionals could embrace more and more the citizens at a distance. So I think we are in a well-positioned way to adopt and to make Portugal as a living lab for the health solutions that we have in terms of digital, biotech, and medtech. So I think these are the three areas where we can prove and have good, very skills and good experience to move forward and to scale up from Portugal. The second question regarding Glint. So Glint, and as other companies, Glint is an IT company dedicated to the healthcare sector. The main markets are Portugal and Spain. But as other companies, we need to break our walls and, as if I can say like this, and embrace the co-creation process to have innovation coming into our solutions. So we have solutions for hospitals and pharmacies, but we need to move and to have new technologies, new innovation process coming into our daily life. And to do that, we need partners, and partners can be clients, can be universities, research institutions, that we can have consortiums or can have networks to explain what we do and receive feedback, and vice versa. So this, I think, are open doors that we consider that are the most important thing to have when we talk about companies that are already in the market for 20 years or even less years. They need to open their doors, their walls, to embrace innovation that comes from the outside. And outside, it could be everywhere, not just outside the country, but in important. With that, we have launched Link Innovation. There is a hub that we need on where we need to have innovation and put digital solutions, and we go from ideas to startups or spin-offs that we could mentor, or we can help to have access to markets. So that, I think, is also very important for ourselves, but mostly for new companies that are emerging in this market of health and technology.
No, thank you, Felipe. And now moving to our last guest, Ricardo. Roche recently launched an innovation digital innovation challenge or program focused on dementia. So you decided to lead this, but not alone, bringing the community, bringing all the stakeholders together. And it will be really interesting to understand, how do you see that Portugal will be well positioned to support innovation in these fields, especially if taking into account that we will be expecting ideas and solutions to come all around the world, but then working closely with the ecosystem in Portugal?
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Miguel, for the invitation and for the great panel that you managed to build and to bring together. I already see a common trend. I will not repeat what others have said regarding how and why Portugal could be and should be attractive for health innovation, and particularly this interface between healthcare and technology or digital innovation. We saw exactly the same, and we believe as a traditional pharma and diagnostics company that is also going through a profound transformation in terms of the way that we work and what we will be focusing our efforts on moving forward. We believe that there is a profound difference between R&D on the digital space and R&D on, for instance, the drug space, right? One is highly centralized, the other one is the opposite, and one is made in a very isolated way, but the other one must be done in a collaborative effort. And João and Antonio alluded to that on their speech, because they also mentioned how easy it is for us in Portugal as a small country to easily tap into everyone's knowledge and everyone's network and really fast move ahead, while in other regions, in other countries, we would have definitely a higher burden to make things happen. What Felipe also mentioned regarding the size, I believe that we are definitely the right size for this kind of approaches. We are not too small, not too big, so we have that perfect size that we are able to explore, to pilot, and then to be able to have solutions ready for scaling up. So I do believe that this, together with our healthcare system that we all know, of course, has its own flaws, but it has a significant level of maturity and quality. And like Felipe also mentioned, I believe that we have a very interesting level already of digitization in healthcare. We know that is still a lot to do, but we have significant things there already in place. So what we felt was, now moving into the project and why we felt that this was the right move. We are used to bring innovative and transformative medicines to patients worldwide. We know that dementia, and if we focus particularly on one-time Alzheimer's, has been one of those things that we know it's like the biggest challenge that we will face as a society in the near future. But we also know the sad track record of clinical trials that have failed and failed and failed. And once we look into the data after the trials ended, we start seeing that the population is highly heterogeneous. It's really hard on a typical clinical trial setting to identify what are the patients that eventually will have a clinical response or meaningful response to a specific treatment. And also, we also realize that even if we have, or once we have an approved efficacious treatment for Alzheimer's, for instance, or for dementia as a whole, the system will not be ready, because we don't know what patients should be or how we can tap into those patient pools. Most of those people eventually they are not aware that they have they are pre-symptomatic in terms of dementia, for instance. And also we know that all this transformation that is happening in healthcare must lead into a more sustainable and personalized healthcare. So bringing all of this together, what we felt was, okay, let's focus on something that we don't have yet any approved medicine in place. So in Europe, as you know, there is no transformative medicine for dementia at this stage, at least. So what we felt, okay, this is the right opportunity to prepare in advance the system and also to bring different stakeholders together instead of just waiting for having a molecule that can treat patients, but then we need to run and to try to catch the train. So what we felt was we did a design thinking exercise together with the ecosystem, bringing patients, physicians, nurses, therapists, social workers, and other company stakeholders. And we identified where are the bottlenecks that patients, families, and caregivers face through dementia care. And so easily we identified like disease awareness and prevention, early and enhanced diagnosis, and improved treatment and care. So these are the three buckets that we will look into mature solutions already in prototype stage that can come from anywhere in the world, because we do believe that this kind of challenges is the same across the globe. We see this now in the US, we see this in the Eastern countries. So we know that these are the typical challenges that we face. So we will bring these solutions together. We have identified specific needs in different partners. We are partnering with hospitals from the public and from the private sector. We are partnering with other pharma companies, partnering with foundations like Gulbenkian Foundation. And so what we aim here, and also Microsoft, to bring this technological expertise in place, what we want here is to identify clear needs, and then what are the solutions that are happening or already available in the market, or eventually in pre-market phase, that can be adapted and adjusted to fill in these needs. With this, we aim to have a solution that can be piloted in Portugal and then scaled up to the rest of the world. So try to put everything in a nutshell, but this is where we are at this stage.
Oh, thank you. And now moving, probably bringing everyone together here in the same screen. A question that I'll raise from what you shared is how is moving from Portugal to other regions, to other countries, to in the sense, can be Portugal a door for the US, for Latin America, for Europe, in some way? How you see this happening, and these opportunities of looking to Portugal as not only a testing bed to enter the Portuguese market, but also a testing bed to scale to other markets. I don't know who wants to start or have any ideas on this.
I can jump and others will follow for sure. What I can say, Miguel, is although at this stage without real hands-on experience, is that what we are seeing now is we are starting from the need side. And we already spotted that there are other countries on the American continent, on Europe, on Asia, that have the same needs. And we are already engaging with them through our network to be able to identify eventual potential partners for the future, like year 2, 3, to be able to also use some of these solutions and to then try to explore whether or not they work in other ecosystems, in other healthcare systems. So I do believe this is definitely an interesting path. I don't see any reason why not. Let's put it this way.
João?
Yeah, I think so. I agree with Ricardo. I would just add that so the processes and the methodologies that you need to implement while you are still here, just focusing on the let's say the national market, so only here in Portugal, will certainly allow you to then address different markets, mainly in Europe, United States as well, because the level of detail that you need to take into account on the bad side and on the good side as well. So the level of detail that you need to have in mind allows you that, okay, as soon as you define that now you would like to go to Spain, most of the work is already done. And we felt that when we started to address the more Central European markets, where we saw that, okay, so all of the processes that we have implemented, and we had that already for the Portuguese market, allowed us to say, okay, we have everything in place. It's just a matter to go there, starting to have the first discussions. We were able also to kind of leverage or almost exploit the network that we built here in Portugal to then address other markets. And we felt the same thing for the United States. And another thing that we started to feel was that when we started the company a few years ago already, we were kind of just ramping up from a massive financial crisis. So kind of the perception on the Portuguese market was not necessarily the best one back then. Now it's completely different. So now when you say that you are coming from Portugal, the immediate reaction that you have on the other side of the table is like, interesting, show me what you have. So I don't know, maybe it had a lot to do with all of the different companies going abroad and preparing kind of the path for the other companies, for the followers. but we suddenly felt this, that there was a change for the past 5 to 7 years. When we started, it was a bit more difficult, so the perception was a bit different. Now it's way better, which is good because it means that we are creating the Portuguese brand. So Portugal now is clearly a brand, and that's good, and that enables and helps new companies starting today to address international markets with a different feeling.
I don't know if anyone else wants to add on this point, Antonio.
No, I was trying to clarify if your question is more a technical perspective or a commercial perspective. I think
it's both in some way.
Yeah.
This is a good question. Like with the knowledge that we have in Portugal about the other markets, actually is interesting. At least my perspective is that we know sometimes more about the US markets than actually the Portuguese market many of the times on the innovation arena. So that I would like to see a little bit about your perspectives of being a good entry point to other markets.
Yeah, I think, of course, the technical perspective, I think maybe is the easier way, right? Or maybe it's easier. But the commercial perspective maybe is more tricky, right? Because, and I want to share with you yesterday I was in Medica, and I think it's quite easy to get depressed in Medica because it's quite tricky to understand how we can innovate here, right? Because you can see there everything. Okay, nothing to do with that, only to somehow to be better. Okay, but concerning your question, I think we need to improve the representation, the visibility, right? And if you measure the dimension of Portugal in Medica, comparing with other countries with the same size, it's hard to say that we are in a very low performance there. Then I think we need to combine the two things. I'm not concerned with the technical perspective because I know that we have a very good startups and so, but the visibility, it's not the, maybe we need to improve a lot on that.
And probably I'll ask a different question. So how important is collaboration on this? From the Medic itself, we discussed a little bit on the Health Cluster Portugal initiatives on bringing the institute together to make a full-fledged solution instead of separate, isolated approaches. And how important is collaboration, not only within Portugal but across different countries for you for in some way to leverage this commercial part, these commercial challenges that often companies, not only in Portugal, but other countries in Europe face on competing with more well-branded industries. Philippe, I don't know if you want to share a little bit how you work with smaller companies often to in some way try to leverage this thing, because I know that you don't bring to the hospitals only your technology, you bring other technologies together, and how in some way this collaboration is important to this.
Yeah, so sorry, because the network sometimes here is not so stable as wanted, and sometimes I lose you. But just coming back to your first question, well, I think Portugal has one of the most brilliant talents for technology. And the type of companies that we are building, the startups, the spin-offs, are well known. And when we go to startup fairs or startup contests, we win, and the first, the second, and the third place. And we know that among ourselves, within the European Commission, within the AT Health. So I think we have brilliant ideas, and we can move forward, as João was explaining. And nowadays, I think the awareness of how science is important for the future of the country is also more known. I don't know, well known, but more known, and a more sensitive way. Of course, then to scale up in other countries, I think the commercial part, as Antonio was explaining, is critical. And then I think we still need to define pathways and touch points to move forward. I mean, Portugal has unicorns, as if you compare to Spain, that is a much bigger country, doesn't have so much as we have. So I think we make very good work in terms of innovation, technology, and thinking outside of the box, as we normally say. So I think that is a really good asset that the Portuguese environment has. Then we need to spread this innovation and this very good job out the world, especially in Europe, and then moving forward to other regions like US and Asia. How Glint can also support these companies? Well, I think mostly we have, from the beginning, we have people that know the business of health and other technologies many years ago, but to make sure that we have an objective and that we are aligned to make innovation a milestone every day in our daily life, we have this Glint Innov, that is a hub that we want to make sure that new ideas that come from clients, for partners, from other companies, are evaluated, are considered, and then we can mentor, we can either internal projects, support them with internal money, or also in consortiums like the AT Health or other consortiums that we have in Portugal and other consortiums that we have outside. And that, I think, is the way companies can bring up and also show other markets, of course, to the startups or the spin-offs. Because imagine that we have a very good idea and a very good startup of health in Portugal. We can open the doors in Spain because we have a huge presence in the Spanish market. So that, I think, is a vision and a mission that the companies, the industry should have in order to promote more the scaling up, because the future has to rely on this science, on these innovation companies, and not just on discussing salaries or other things that normally go into the agenda. I think the future is about education and moving to have more innovation and more technology. And we have these assets in Portugal, so we need to have a structure that supports this inside and outside Portugal.
No, thank you. I think we're running out of time for this panel. I don't know any of the others want a final note that we want to let other countries, other stakeholders around the world know about Portugal, why to choose Portugal as a living lab or test bed for their innovations. Anything that you want to add, João?
Yeah, maybe I can just add out of own experience. So to be fully honest and fully transparent, I'm yet to meet with one partner or customer that says, yeah, I won't close a deal with you because you're coming from Portugal. It's quite the opposite, in fact. So, and most of the times when we start kind of having the first call with that particular potential customer, and we are kind of in the first minutes of the call, still in the kind of ice-breaking stage, and you discuss about the country, you suddenly realize that they know quite a lot about the country. They have been there more than once, at least. So for sure, it's not a deal breaker to start from Portugal. So I believe it's quite the opposite. It plays with us and not against us. So yeah, I urge every single one who wants to start a medtech company to do it from here, because I'm pretty sure you'll be amazed with the results.
Okay, so thank you for all. This was a quick session, and now to finish, I'll be presenting an initiative under the Health Portugal brand. So As you know, Health Cluster Portugal brought to the ecosystem this health brand that we embrace at JoinHealth also, and they are putting together and announcing today a showcase of the healthcare innovation in Portugal, and we'll have a small video to showcase how in some way you can now start looking on several of the innovators that are being building things from Portugal, many of them part of JoinHealth, many of them from the Health Cluster Portugal, but this is an open platform to help on these commercialization challenges of giving visibility of what is being done from Portugal, the good examples of things not only digital, but biotech, medtech, the different areas in healthcare that Portugal is a small country, but with a lot of potential, a great ratio of innovators per capita, if you say so. So let's see the video, and of course, thank you for your presence and contribution. So thank you.
The Portuguese offer on health products and services can now be found at solutions.healthportugal.com. This online curated platform has a number of health products and services from a range of Portuguese organizations, from R&D institutions to companies, from knowledge to market. Choose the filters on the left side of the page or type in your desired search terms in the search bar to find specific products and services according to your preferences. Check out the information provided by each organization and explore their product's description and specifications. To find out more about this initiative and how to be part of this catalog, contact the Health Cluster Portugal using the following email address. Learn more about the innovative, state-of-the-art Portuguese health ecosystem. Health Portugal, from Portugal to the world.